Hi, I'm State Rep Sarah Peake, and thanks for watching the first in a series of updates from Beacon Hill. We had a busy week last week. That's the week ending January 29th. We elected the second speaker in less than a month, certainly an unusual occurrence in Boston and in any state legislature. But our Speaker, Salvatore De Macy, resigned effective 5 p.m. on Tuesday night. And by Wednesday at 3 in the afternoon, we had a new speaker, Robert A. DeLeo from Winthrop. Now, Bob DeLeo is the past chair of the House Ways and Means Committee and has gotten to know a little bit about Cape Cod. As recently as January 16th, he was in Eastham at my invitation, meeting with the selectmen, finance committee members, town administrators, and managers from the 4th Barnstable District to give a little bit of the budget forecast and try to look into his crystal ball to predict what would be ahead in terms of local aid or local aid cuts and other municipal relief that might be coming down the path. Part of what the new speaker is getting going with right away is asking all of the members what committees we would like to serve on in the upcoming session. Now, just as a refresher, last session I served on 3 committees: the Committee on Environment, Natural Resources, and Agriculture, the Committee on Municipalities and Regional Government, and the Joint Committee on Financial Services. This session I've requested again to be on the Financial Services Committee, the Committee on Environment, Natural Resources, and Agriculture, but I've asked for a change of the last committee in order to be able to serve on the Committee on Tourism, Arts, and Cultural Development. During the past session, Eric Turkington, my good friend and colleague from Falmouth, who is now retired, was chair of that committee, so Cape Cod had a very strong voice on it. Now, however, with his retirement, I think it's important that somebody from the Cape, and certainly I feel in this region on the outer and lower Cape that is so rich in the arts, it would be important, and it would also be my honor and pleasure, and I think I bring a certain level of expertise to this position also, so I've asked to serve on that committee as well. Next week coming up, we're looming close. Wednesday at 5, we have to make decisions about what bills we will be signing on to as co-sponsors. The bill filing deadline for our own legislation that we've written has come and gone already. I have filed home rule bills on behalf of all of your towns. Those are those articles at town meeting that you vote at your special or regular town meeting that have to get approval from the legislature, and all of those have been filed. In addition, I filed a bill to increase the jurisdictional level for small claims court. I'm calling it an act to increase access to the courts, because what it will allow for is if you have a monetary claim of up to $5,000, you'll be able now, when this bill is enacted, to bring that in small claims court. You won't have to hire a lawyer, and it will, I think, increase access to the courts. I've also filed a bill to create the position of a poet laureate for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Again, believe it or not, in our arts rich Commonwealth, and certainly our arts-rich Cape Cod, there is no position for a poet laureate. Most of the other states have one. We know that there's a national poet laureate. I have the support of the Mass Cultural Council on this, and I'm looking forward to shepherding this through the legislative process and having this become law. I've been approached by some folks in Chatham who are interested in amending some of the regulations on the books regarding the catching of striped bass to allow them to catch it by spear gun. Talk about an arcane law, which you can do in Rhode Island and New Hampshire, but for no good reason. We're not permitted to catch striped bass that way here in Massachusetts, so I've filed that bill on their behalf. I've signed on as a co-sponsor to a comprehensive homeowners insurance reform bill filed by Senator Robert O'Leary. He is taking the lead on this. We'll file it through in the Senate first to get it moving and then bring it down to the House side. And we are hopeful that this comprehensive bill will come out of committee, we'll bring it to the floor, and this session have time to enact it prior to the end of the full formal session. As you may remember, we had a bill ready to go and literally just ran out of the hours and minutes to make it happen last time out. I've also signed on to another Senator O'Leary bill, and that bill would, it calls for the streamlining of the Department of Public Health's regulations to allow our shell fishermen to sell clams and oysters at farmers markets. If you're a foodie like me, you enjoy buying fresh fish, you'd like to find an outlet to do this, it's good for the shell fishermen. They can get a little more per piece for their price than they do when they sell it in the wholesale market. And it's something that the Cape Cod Shell Fishermen Association and aquaculturists have been pushing for, and we hope to get that enacted this session. Next week, there's probably a little bit of lull in the action. We're waiting for our committee assignments because all of the close to 6,000 bills that have been filed can't go anywhere until the committees are formed, the chairs and the vice chairs are appointed, and then those bills are assigned out to the various committees. With this electing a speaker, having him resign, electing a new speaker, it's caught us a couple weeks behind on things. So we're hoping to hear about our committee assignments and then start to really dig in with those bills and get them through the pipeline and start to enact them. This week also is Go Red Week. If you're in Provincetown, you may see the monument bathed in red light at night. What that's all about, it's about raising awareness about women and the risks of heart disease. On Tuesday, the women who work in the State House, whether it's the elected officials or others, have been asked to wear red as a reminder of this, and we'll have our picture taken on the grand staircase. Watch for that photo showing up on my website. This week as well, we'll start to dig into the governor's budget. It got delivered to us last week. It's about the size of a telephone book, and I'll be looking through there line item by line item to seeing how things affect us here on Cape Cod and affect us in the 4th Barnstable District, and start to work with my colleagues to craft the House version of the bill and amendments that we'll want to file to that bill to make sure that we get our fair share down here on Cape Cod. So, until next week, let's hope we don't get a snowstorm on Tuesday. And until next week, thanks for tuning in.